British Prime Minister Theresa May intends to give Parliament a second chance to approve a Brexit deal as soon as possible, her spokesman says, adding that negotiations to change the deal so it can win politicians' support were ongoing. Spokesman said he could not imagine any circumstances under which Parliament would not be given another chance to vote on approving a Brexit deal, and restated that Mrs May is committed to leaving the European Union on March 29. It comes as pro-Brexit British politicians were mounting a campaign to rescue Mrs May's rejected European Union divorce deal in a parliamentary showdown, as major retailers warned the UK could face food shortages if it leaves the bloc without an agreement. Politicians threw out Mrs May's Brexit deal 2 weeks ago and will debate and vote Tuesday on competing plans for what to do next. Britain is scheduled to leave the EU with or without a deal. Much of the business world say a no-deal Brexit would cause economic chaos by eliminating existing EU trade agreements and imposing tariffs, customs checks and other barriers between the UK and its main export market. Chief executives of fast food company McDonald's and UK supermarket chains Sainsbury's and Waitrose were among signatories to a letter to politicians warning of significant disruption if the UK leaves without a deal. Given that nearly a third of Britain's food comes from the EU, May presents Brexit Plan BMORE. Brexit will change the UK forevermore. Brexit fuels violence and unrest fears in Northern Ireland. While we have been working closely with our suppliers on contingency plans, it is not possible to mitigate all the risks to our supply chains, said the retailers, who urged politicians to avoid a no-deal departure. We anticipate significant risks to maintaining the choice, quality and durability of food that our customers have come to expect in our stores, they added. Mrs May says she wants a deal, and insists her agreement can still win Parliament's backing, if it is tweaked to alleviate concerns about a provision over the Irish border. The government hopes to bring the deal back for a new vote in Parliament in February. The border measure, known as the backstop, would keep the UK in a customs union with the EU in order to remove the need for checks along the frontier between the UK's Northern Ireland and EU member Ireland after Britain leaves the bloc. That border is crucial to the divorce deal because it will be the only land frontier between the UK and the EU after Brexit. Border checkpoints have disappeared since Ireland and Britain both became members of the EU single market in the 1990s, and since the 1998 Good Friday Peace Accord largely ended decades of violence in Northern Ireland. Opposition to the backstop by pro-Brexit politicians, who fear it will trap Britain in regulatory lockstep with the EU, helped sink May's deal on January 15, when Parliament rejected it by 432 votes to 202, a new proposal submitted by Conservative legislator Graham Brady commits to backing Mrs May's deal if the backstop is replaced by alternative arrangements. Mr Brady said if the motion was approved by Parliament, it would give May enormous firepower to go back to Brussels and renegotiate the Brexit divorce deal. But leading pro-Brexit Conservative politician Jacob Rees-Mogg said he and his hard Brexit-backing allies would not support Mr Brady's amendment because it doesn't say what the backstop would be replaced with. EU leaders, meanwhile, insist they will not change the legally binding Brexit withdrawal agreement. This withdrawal agreement has been agreed with the UK government, it is endorsed by leaders and is not open for renegotiation, EU spokesman Margaritas Schinas said. Irish Foreign Minister Simon Coveney said over the weekend that Northern Ireland's peace process depended on avoiding the return of a hard border. The EU has been clear that the backstop is an integral part of the withdrawal agreement, he said. Mr Brady's backstop proposal is one of more than a dozen amendments proposed by UK politicians that aim to alter the course of Britain's departure. Some others seek to rule out a no-deal Brexit so Britain can't tumble out of the bloc on March 29 without an agreement in place to cushion the shock. Speaker of the House of Commons John Bercow will announce on Tuesday local time which amendments have been selected for debate and vote. Conservative politician Nick Boles, who is backing an amendment designed to rule out a no-deal Brexit and seek a delay to Britain's EU departure, said that Tuesday is probably the only opportunity that Parliament is going to have to intervene in this process, to take control. If we don't seize the moment tomorrow afternoon, then we are at grave risk of just driving off the edge on March 29 without really wanting to, and when there might be a compromise we could achieve if we just had a few more months, he told the BBC.